Today we're going to start telling a story that might be the genesis for everything that I'm doing here on this channel. And it's about this Christensen Mesa in 6.5 PRC. Ignore the fact the bench is messy. I bought it as a stock Christensen in 6.5 PRC. And when I was interested in 6.5 PRC, I really wanted to get into it because it's really like the 6.5 Creedmoor Magnum. Here is the 6.5 Creedmoor. This is the 6.5 PRC. So you can tell slightly larger case diameter, longer overall length, even though it maintains a short action. And you can see in general, when you look at the case head, the 6.5 PRC case head's a little bit larger. And when you look at the stats here, I've got the boxes of ammo. The 6.5 Creedmoor is supposed to be going 2,825 feet per second at the muzzle, whereas the 6.5 PRC is running at 2,975, or about 150 feet per second faster, delivering considerably more energy on target. Today, we're going to start talking about the transformation this rifle went through from the time that I bought it. I'm going to tell a little bit of the story about how I got to this point, and then we're going to show you some shots in its final form here. It's changed stocks a couple of times. It's changed scopes a couple of times before it got here to what I hope to be its final form. So we'll see you there. First clip is going to be short, then we're going to talk about the changes that we made, some impacts that we saw from that, and then from there, we're going to dive into the remainder of the story.
Hit. Hit. All right, let's go 3 for 3, Christensen. Bam. Hit.
All right, so as you can see there, the Christensen started out in this stock. So I bought that NDT Oryx stock, which is now what our 308 lives in. The Oryx stock was a welcome change from this one. This particular stock just didn't feel like it really fit the idea behind the rifle. That was evolution number 1. And the reason that we made that evolution takes us back to 2 deer seasons ago. So 2 deer seasons ago, I was hunting with this rifle in this stock, and it was the last day of the season for me. I don't usually get a lot of time to hunt during the year just because of how busy we are. And so it was the last day. I had picked a stand where I knew I'd have a little bit longer of a shot, but I felt really confident with the 6.5 PRC. It's about a 250-ish yard shot to where the feeder is, but you can see farther than that. We had a really nice 9-point come out at about 220 yards. I put the rifle out the window and pulled the trigger and completely missed the animal. So I put another round in the chamber and shot and completely missed the animal again. I'm hunting suppressed, and so I know that it gives me a little bit of an advantage, but when I tried to eject the 3rd round out of the rifle, it got stuck in the action. When I had chambered the round, the bolt was a little tight, and so when I went to remove the round, the entire cartridge was stuck in the chamber. And so I was able to try and put the bolt back down, and it was a little tight. And so I forced the bolt back into battery and then pulled back. And at that point, the extractor had grabbed the case rim and pulled the case and the powder out, but the bullet remained in the lands. So I'm not 100% certain exactly what happened with that particular ammo. That really made me nervous for a number of reasons. It felt like if the bullet is going to be stuck in the lands, we're jamming, which means we could have a really big pressure problem. After that experience, I took it to a local Christensen person and they sent it off for me to get RMA'd. They took a look at the throat and they reamed it a little bit better so that it would fit that particular round a little bit more. Since then, we've done some reloading. So the next video, I'm gonna take you into some reloading. This is after we changed into the Oryx stock.
54.5, 54.8, and 55 in 565. And we're projected 2783.9 feet per second. 2783, 2775, 2773, 2786, 2777, 4.9 feet per second, standard deviation. 54.8, 565. 2779, 2797, 2793, 2793, 2794. Let's just check the stats on that one because I bet they're stupid. Average 2791 with a 6.2 feet per second standard deviation, so very good as well. This 565 powder from Bishnow is really showing some problems here. 55, 2801, 2815, 2784, 2798, 2800. Average 2800. We're projected to do 2812 there. So we averaged 2800 with a 9.7 standard deviation. I love it when you just come out with a handful of rounds and they all work.
So there you got to see it in the Oryx stock. It just became quickly one of my very favorite rifles after doing that. Now, a thing that I want to note about this particular rifle is it also has a really thin fluted barrel. From a Magnum type cartridge like this, when you're shooting a lot more case fill in a thinner profile barrel, heat tends to impact your accuracy a lot more. And so I wanted to find a Hunt 26 for this. Again, this is becoming one of my favorite rifles. And so I wanted to give it some extra love. And the next video that you're going to see is me shooting some more of that. And in this video, it's the 143 grain ELD-X bullet. We're shooting Vitivory N565. This is the last set of groups that we shot. We got some hand loads, but first we're going to try some Peterson cartridge. These are 129 grain Accubon long range rounds. Box velocity on these guys is 3123. Okay, 3001. 2982, 2970, 2991, 3008. So we threw a couple there, interestingly, but not a bad couple of groups. Got some big jumps here. They're loaded at 2955 overall length, expecting 2891 out of 56.6. Okay. 2867. That one might be low because of me. 2869 though. 2864. 2884. That one jumped. Not a bad little group, man. 56.6 grains of N565 produced a 2869.8 foot per second with a standard deviation of 7.6. We did come out a while back. We shot some 6.5 PRC to get some data on N565, and the result was we took that information back, we put it in GRT, we figured out what the most accurate load would be based on that, and it produced this there. This is 57.3 of N565. 2922. That was 2916. It was a little slower. 2925. 2916. All right, 2928. Bolt was a little tough there. Primer's coming through the bolt a little bit on those, so could be a good sign we're getting close to pressure. So something to keep an eye on. 2928 on that last one. Average 2921 for numbers. 2921 standard deviation of 4.1. Starting up front, we've got a Rex Silentium MG10. I think this is probably the suppressor I've owned the longest. We've got the super ultra thin light barrel on this one. It's a 24-inch barrel. Then you've got the MDT Hunt 26 stock. If you haven't figured out yet, one of my favorite colors is this olive drab green, and I just love it. It's great. It's light. I ended up having to add some spacers to the back of it here to get the length of pull right. If you saw in that last video, we were pretty close to the scope there, and I've got some stories to tell on that one. So good plug for our upcoming series. So on top, I have got the Leupold VX-5HD. So I talked about this in a previous video, but I ended up winning Fishing with Flares giveaway a couple of years ago and bought a couple of these scopes, and it's one of the best investments I've ever made. We started out with a Miopta scope on this one, and I love it because it's got a little dot in the center, but this one allows me to dial out, which is really the intent for cartridges like this one. Appreciate you sticking around for this one. I hope you enjoy the content. Please stay tuned for what's coming up with Stories from Deer Camp. I'm super stoked about that series, and we'll catch you in the next one. See you.